Okay, so I have done a video of me accessing my port before. This is not the first time. It's been a while though. And I do it differently now, just a little bit. It's basically the same thing, but I thought since I have to access my port tonight, it's been a week. Every week you have to change your needle and your dressing, so I got to take a shower today, and I need to hook it up now because I need to do antibiotics before I go to bed. It is currently 10:30 p.m. right now on Thursday. So I have all my supplies before I get sterile all over here, laid out and ready, and extra things in case I mess up. Sonoma is right there in case he needs to alert me that I'm going to have a seizure at all during this process. And I'm just gonna put that, and I have a nice flowy shirt on so I can easily get to my port. So I'm just, whoa, that just totally, that's soap. It just squirted right out at me. Holy cow. I'm just gonna wash my hands and bring all my sterile things over here. I can't touch my phone, of course, once I am sterile and after I wash my hands. So since I don't have anyone taking this video for me, it's not the best for being able to see things, but the things I can, I will hold up in front and do. Just the things that are on the counter that can't be seen is just kind of, it is what it is. So I'm going to start off getting my dressing kit, and I'm bringing it over here because this counter space that you cannot see is all free. And I'm opening it up and not touching anything but the very, very outside, just as usual. And I put all my garbage just right in the sink. The first thing I do is very carefully take out, I don't use this tape, I'm allergic to it. Put on my mask. The white, more white side goes on top. Whoops. This isn't sterile yet, so this is okay. That's why my hands don't have gloves. And now I'm going to get the sterile field out, which I'm also touching the very edges of. So I'm being very, very careful, only to touch the edges. And I'm placing it, it's not unfolding all the way. That's what I'm having. That's it, so now I'm going to go to bed. And I'm placing it right here. I am not sterile yet. Oh, am I going the right way? Yeah, I'll go like that. I can bend down. I'm going to see if I can access it by looking here or like that so you can actually see it, because it's hard to get the needle actually on video. So I have an extra needle in case I need it. Putting my saline, not on a sterile field because it's not sterile saline. It is, the saline itself is sterile, but the packaging is not, which is the same thing for these. This is weird because you can't see my face, but I either have to kneel down or have it up. There's like no in between. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this, and I'm just gonna hold the plastic part so I'm not touching anything of what's actually inside because that's sterile. And I'm just gonna grab this white cap because that's what I'm taking off, but I can't touch anything else. So I gotta hold the plastic and unscrew the white cap because that's gonna attach, and I sit it right here because I can't put it on the sterile field yet, to the blue cap, which I have to take a blue cap off the blue cap and then put them together. So now I'm just touching this part of the blue cap and not touching the part that's connecting to it. And I'm gonna roll this back like that. And now you just gotta kind of pair them up and make sure they're not touching anything but themselves. I'll go like this. You can't really see it yet. Making sure it's really on. But see, I'm just gonna pull that out, and now this is sterile. And I'm gonna wait because I'm gonna not drop it on yet because I have saline that I can't put my gloves on. And this packaging, the inside is sterile, so that's how I can hold that. And then I can just attach this by not touching it and then flushing it. Now I can let this go, right like that. And then sit this on the edge of the sterile field and then pull this just the end. So my needle is primed, that is just priming the needle, and I just held the outside so I wasn't touching anything inside. Now, throwing that stuff in the sink, I'm going to put on my sterile gloves, and then it'll be cleaning time, and then time to put in my needle, and then I'm done. So it's, want to make sure you do things right, but it really isn't a lengthy process once you get used to it and you get good at it. So I'm only touching the outside of this pair of gloves because the cuff is going to be turned inside out, and then that'll be the inside. Oops, and then you have 2 fingers in, so I'm just putting my hand in the glove because I don't want to be touching the outside. And then when I flip it over, I'm putting my hands all on the inside. Now, I'm doing the opposite because this hand is sterile and only touching the inside of the glove with this hand and the outside of the glove with this hand. And you just have to, of course, make sure the fingers are lined up, which is usually the hardest part. And then my hands can touch each other. They can do that, which is good. So now I have my kit, which I can pick up from the inside, so you can kind of see that it's sitting right here. And I'm just taking out this, I like to call it the Swiffer, because it looks like a Swiffer picker-upper thing. And just pull down this, you shake it. Make sure it's really wet. Looks nice and wet. And then it looks like my shirt is coming down, but I just have tan clothes underneath it, so it's fine. And I'm gonna go in circular motions and make sure it's really wet and press with a lot of pressure and get really far away from the port too, because then it helps the dressing to stick really well. And I actually had a bit of trouble getting my dressing off today to shower because it was on so good, which is a good thing. So I make sure to get by my armpit all the way up by my neck and actually towards like the middle of my chest. And I have to make sure it does not touch my clothes because then it would not be sterile and I would have to open another one. So that is done. Throwing that in the sink. Now I have to wait for it to dry. And I just hold my hands like this because if I were to touch the countertop, that's not sterile. And then I do have another pair of sterile gloves. I'll just do this over there. So I'd have to change my gloves, or my nurse holds her hands together sometimes when we're doing IVIG, and some days I just don't feel like accessing, but I'll already be accessed for IVIG on Sunday. Also, one thing to remember if you're accessing your own port is I'm making this kind of face under here because I'm pulling my mask down a little because it's getting my eyes. This I put on with my hands, which you're supposed to do. So that means I can't touch it with my sterile gloves. So if it kind of moves, you kind of gotta fix it yourself. I don't like to have my glasses on when I change my dressing. I don't know why, because I see a lot better with it, but they're for distance. So I guess maybe that's why it doesn't really matter for me. It's not like I couldn't do it with my glasses on, but whoa, just got balance on my knee. But I just don't bother. All right, I'm just gonna lean towards the mirror and it looks dry, and it feels dry. I want to make sure it feels dry as much as it looks dry. So now this is hanging out here in the sterile field. This is not sterile, the saline, so that's not hanging out in the sterile field. Bring it to the side, and I'm taking off this little, so I'm not pricking myself, plastic thing. And now I'm going to access and see if you can actually see how I'm just using my elbow and my elbow. See me access this and using the side of my arm for my clothes. Oh, this is kind of hard to see on the, not on the, in the mirror in the phone. So I'm gonna look in the mirror. Just spread your arms out, or your hands out, not your arms out. Pull saline, or push saline, sorry. Pull back, blood, that means I'm in, and I can tell when it's in or when it looks crooked. And if you can't tell, then you do this. I'm just touching the ends. I think you can see that. There we go. And go on. And then I press. If there's a couple little like ridges, like see right there, it's fine because it smooths out. I hate it when it gets all lumpy and stuff, so I'm pro at smoothing it out. And since this is covered, I don't know how surgeons like have these on for 8 hours because my face was getting so hot. I just push this on a lot. If it's not on well, the edges of the tegaderm will be white instead of clear. So there's a tiny little overlap there, but it's not a big deal. I'll be reaccessing next Thursday because that's just when I timed out that I needed the antibiotics and got accessed. All right, so that's perfect. I don't have my Band-Aid right here to put under the bottom so this part doesn't pull up. It's in my room. So that is it for me accessing my port. Doesn't matter which way I put the dressing on, I like it down because otherwise it gets too close to my armpit and it gets in the way. And this way works for me, but there are a lot of ways and a lot of different needles, and I have a 1/2 inch needle, and I use regular clear tegaderms and lots of different things you can use if you have allergies, sensitivities, and you have to find a thing that is best for you.